Yes, in the today's class we shall discuss about the industry analysis, to which you are calling as an industry. In the whole economy, the industry means it is a group of same producing unit will be called as a one unit. Once an investor would like to make the conduct of any investment activities in the industry, he is going to be made it consideration in which industry he has to make their investment activity, because there are so many different industries will be there. There are so many industries are going to be performing in the economy. Those all the industry, how they are going to be having their performance, whether there is a profitability will be there under such an industry or not, whether your investment in such an industry will be bringing you returns or there is a higher rate of risk will be there in such an industry. These all the things you need to make it analyze before going to make the investment activities. For the making your conduct of investment activities, you need to come across with the industry where there is a higher rate of returns are going to be available. So there is a broader classification of industry we shall see. For example, telecommunication industry will be there, manufacturing industry will be there, food industries will be there. Among all those, which are the industries are going to be gives you the investment activities will be in a returnful manner, because the investors are having so many differentiated behaviors. Among those behaviors, some are going to be expecting the higher rate of return, some are expecting lower rate of risk. So in such a way, considering of their behavior, so they can make the choosing of the industry which is going to be suitable for making their investment activities. For that reason, before the conduct of investment, there is an industrial analysis has to be make it conduct. So under that we can see there is a industry groups as like as a food industry, beverage industry, or there is a textile industry will be there, wood products industries will be there, leather product industries will be there, or there is a chemical product industries will be there. Then there is some of the metal producing industries will be there, transport equipment production industries will be there. Many of the different classification we can see. So as in related manner about the industry, what should be the things are needed to consider when you are going to make the conduct of the investment activities. So that we shall see under the discussion of industry analysis. So in regarded with that, when you are going to be considering the analysis of the industry, you should come across with that what is the nature of industry will be there, what the industry is going to be having its indication, whether the industry under the growth industry or it is under the expanding industry, or there is any of the absolute returns are going to be there under the industry or not. These all the aspects you need to consider, because so under the industry analysis, so there is the things are to be needed to consider, which are the growth industry will be there, or which kind of industries are going to be bringing you the returns for the making conduct of investment activities. These are all the insight of the industry you need to consider, because there is a investor always he would like to make the conduct of investment activities where there is a returns are going to be available for the investment. So in regarded with that, we shall see that industry analysis will be conducted with the considering of some of the terms or the some of the factors. So those factors are going to be, next slide, those all the industrial analysis factors are going to be considered as the business cycle, structural changes, industry competitiveness, then the life cycle analysis, then the SWOT analysis. Industrial analysis is going to be considered under the factors are business cycle, structural changes, industry's competitiveness, and the life cycle analysis and the SWOT analysis. With these all the factors, we can consider how there is a industry analysis will be conducted to know the industry how it is going to be having its performance. So these all the different factors we can be come across. Through that we can conduct our investment activities as in a very effective manner. So one by one, which are the things of factors will be there under the industrial analysis, we shall discuss. Next slide. So under the business cycle, the business So under the business cycle, so the business entity is going to be needed to consider in what way they are going to be having their under the business cycle, in what way the business activities are going to be having their performance has to made it considered. So it means So under the business cycle, there are mainly 4 phases are going to be considered, because the business is going to be having its performance in a very differentiated manner. So how the human beings are going to be having their the life cycle, how the human beings are going to be having their life cycle, in the same way the business is also having their birth and the death. It means it is also having the life cycle for making conduct of its business activity. Among those life cycle, we can see there is a full recession will be there, early recovery will be there, then there is a late recovery and early recession will be there. These are the main 4 phases we can find out under the business cycle, where there is a business activities are going to be considered in the specific way. It means the business are going to be performing in the particular way. Those ways are going to be find out under these all the 4 phases. Here we can consider the full recession phase. So the full recession phase means, so this is not a good time for the business activities, because under the economy, industries are going to be having the reaction towards the economy will be in a very bad condition, not in a very much well condition. So the GDP has been reacting with the quarter over quarter. It means the interest rates are going to be having their falling down, the consumers expectations are going to be at a very much bottom level, and the yield curve is going to be in a very much normal level. So it means there is a prospective demand of the product is not going to be making the much more promises for the company. The companies are not getting much more customer things. So because the product is going to be having the technological application in a very much lower level, the product is going to be produced in a very much lower level, so that will be making the very much So under this stage, there is the industries or the companies are going to be very much having the much more severe competition, and only the fittest companies can be having their survival. So because the producers try to develop the some of the goods and services which can be having their brand name. So the differentiate products are going to be created, means then only they can have their survival. When there is a full recession will be the business cycle situation is facing by the companies. So this would be lead to the non-price competition. So where there is a severe competition often will be leading to the changes position of the firms, so which are going to be termed the market shares, and the profits are going to be having their differentiation. So before going to make consideration of your investment, you should come across whether the industry in which there is a business cycle will be going on under the full recession or not. If there is a full recession will be there, survival rate is going to be considerably, as it is at a very difficult way. For that reason, you need to analyze whether you can make your investment in such a business or not. Then the second cycle is early recovery. So this is when things start to pick up. The consumer expectations are going to be rising, industrial production is growing, interest rates have the bottomed, and the yield curve is beginning to get steeper. So when you are going to be seen under the diagram of business cycle, you can see that there is early recovery will be going on under the business entity. So that will be, there is expansion activities in the business organization will be going on. The surviving of the firms are going to be there from the first stage to the next level. The companies are going to be having the withstood of competition, where there is a strong market share, and the financial preferences or the performance will be going on in the business. And even then the business are going to be making their much more use of technological things to make conduct of the production activity, which will be improving the resulting of low cost and getting of more and more qualitative products with the higher level of profit. So then there is the second stage is going to be made it considered as a improved stage from the first, and where there is a growth is going to be there. So through that, many of the industries can be having their expansions under these stage. Likewise, there is a power industry will be there, telecommunication industry. If they are going to be adopting the new technology, the expansions will be going on under those all the industries, which will be the stage. There is a the industries are going to be having the rate of growth will be in the average manner. By considering of this, whether you can make your investment activities with a safe or the return full manner or not, that can be, you can make your analysis. And the next stage will be that late recovery. So in this stage, there is a stabilization will be going on. So the trend of the companies are going to be in a very much moderate manner. The rate of the growth would be more or less equal to the industrial growth rate. The gross domestic product of the companies are going to be needed to consider. So this is the stage where there is a interest rates can be raising rapidly with the flattering yield curve will be there. Even though you are having the much more yield, so the interest rates are going to be as in the very much increased level. The consumer expectations are going to be beginning to the decline, and the industrial production is at a flat. So this is the stage where there is the technological innovations are going to be still more needed to introduce it under the business activities, because once the consumer consumed the any one product, again after the certain period it will be goes on with having their changes of demands. So meanwhile, you need to consider what will be the technological innovations are needed for the business organization, and you can make it introduce that in the production. Then only you can be having the some of the recovery. Then the investors are going to be closely monitor that whether the revenue will be brings out with those type of the business or not. The maturity stage we can find out under the late recovery. So this will be the other cycle or the other phase of the business cycle. Then the last business cycle phase will be early recession. So early recession means this is the stage which we can be find out as in the name of declining, where the start to go bad for the overall economy. Your business entity under the industry will be going on in a very bad condition. So the particularly we can consider this is the stage where there is a demand for the particular product, and the earning of the companies are going on in a very declining manner. We can consider that. So for example, there is a black and white TV will be there in the before. So there is a declining of the black and white TV has been come across. There is a innovation of new product of color TV will be done. The consumer changes in the preferences will be there in this stage. So where there is the future of declining stage will be identifying that there is a boom period will be there. The growth of industry will be at a very much lower level. The declining of the things of business activities will be going on. So in this, during this type of the phase, the consumers are going to be expecting more. So there is a worst industrial production activities will be find out, and there is a falling in the business activities will be there. Interest rates are going to be find out at a very highest level, and the yield curve will be at a very much flatter rate. So this is the fourth stage of the business cycle. We can find out the first, second, third and fourth stages are like, there is a first stage will be the pioneering stage, which is in the beginning stage of the industry, and the second stage will be the rapid growth stage, and the third stage will be the maturity and stabilization stage, and the fourth phase will be the declining stage. So in the other words, we can find out the business cycle in these phases. So why there is an investor should know about these all the business cycles of the industry? Because the investor shall make the investment decision keeping in mind the current phase of the business cycle and its impact on the prospective industry. Because if he know about about the industry, then only he can find out whether his investment will be bringing him returns at a higher rate or the lower rate or the average rate, and how there is a risk factor will be involved under those all the business considered with their business cycle can be find out in a very easy manner. So that will be needed to come across under this industrial cycle or the industrial business cycle. So meanwhile, so rather than those, there is some of the characteristics are going to be needed to consider under the industrial analysis. Those characteristics are, first one, the structure of the industry and the nature of competition. The some of the structured characteristics are going to be considered for making conduct of industry analysis. Under that, first one, structure of industry and nature of competition. here before making the investment activities, here you should get the attention as like whether there is a your industry will be having the competing many of the firms, or there is a less will be there, whether your industry is leading industry in the whole economy or it is to be not, and what will be the entry barriers will be there for your industry, what will be the pricing policy of a firms will be there, whether the pricing policy will be dependent on the government rules and regulation, and what will be the product differentiation will be there, whether there is a only single product will be there in your industry, or there are so many different products are going to be produced under your industry, and what is the level of competition will be there from the foreign firms will be there, and what are the product features will be there, whether there is a substitute products are available or not. These all the things about the nature of competition and how the nature of industry will be there, that should be needed to make conduct of your investment analysis. Because before go to make the investment activities, whether the industry will be performing in a very well effective efficient level or not, that can be find out under the knowing of this type of the characteristics. Then the other characteristics will be the nature and prospects of demand. In order to understand the nature and prospects of the demand for a product in an industry, one should identify major customer and their requirements. The key determinants like as a demand, degree of cyclical in demand, expected rate of growth in the future period. So in the sense, whether there is a nature of product will be, your industry is producing the nature of product which is going to be demanded by the consumers as in the regular manner or frequently or not, whether your products are going to be the consumer products or it is an industrial product. So the consumer product means which can be purchased for making their consumption. Industrial goods means like as a making conduct of further production activities. Like there is a industrial goods means there is a some of the iron, big iron will be there, iron sheets will be there, coal will be there. So these are the some of the industrial goods. So with considering of these type of the nature of products, you can identify how there is a investment can be made it conduct. Yes, and even there is a textile industry will be there, and the several different type of the industry we can be find out, which will be making us to know that the investor, whether there is a investment in those all the industry or in the business will be having the regular income, or there is a income will be as in a very much free very much so quarterly manner or in a yearly manner. So those all the things can be identified by knowing of your nature of product. The prospect demands for the products which are going to be produced in a one industry can be made it identification by the investor. So to know that condition or the demand for the industry, so that will be the other factor in related with the industry analysis they can be come across. Then the next will be the cost structure and the profitability of the industry. The cost structure, that is fixed cost or the variable cost which are going to be affecting on the production and the profitability of the firm, has to make it consider. Because in case of the some of the industry where there is a higher level of cost of production will be there means, then there is a goods and services which are rendered by those industry will be making the determination of prices will be at a higher level. So when the higher rate of higher prices are to be determined, then those goods and services might be get the some of the very much less demand in the market. So in those cases there is a industries are going to be lacking with the some of the returns. For that reason you need to consider in which industry you would like to make the conduct of your investment. You need to come across with that measuring of the proportion of key cost elements, labor productivity, liquidity condition, what is the profit margin will be there, returns on investment will be there, and the earning power will be there. These all the things considering under the analysis you can come across with that whether the comparatively making your investment activities in the low cost industry will be beneficial for you, and also getting the higher level profitability under the industry from your investment activities. So for example, in case oil and natural gas industry will be there and the iron and steel industry will be there, the fixed cost portion is at a very much higher level, and there is a some of the period there is a very much higher lengthy period will be taken to make the recovery of those all the cost. So the higher the fixed cost component will be there, greater the sales volume will be required to reach the firms at a very much break even point. For that reason, you need to come across with that whether the profitability can be increased by utilizing of such a capacity or not. So through that you can come across whether you can be having the earning of profit in a easy way or within the very much lower level, lower period or not. These all the things of cost structure and the profitability will be making the investor to know that whether it is a industry can be having the return full for making conduct of your investment activities or not. Then the other factor will be that technology and research. When the industries are going to be having their the conduct of activities, it is important to know that whether the degree of technological stability and the technological changes and the research and development expenses as an industry will be at a higher level or at a very much lower level. If there is a technological adoption will be going on under the industry, so then it is very much having the effectiveness under the economy. If you are going to be following of the very much old technological aspects under your industry will be lacking with the so many profitability. Their proportion of sales are going to be having their growth attribute when there is a new products are going to be produced with use of the technological things. For that reason, how the development activities will be going on, how there is a percentage of expenditure your industry is making on the research and development, it should be needed to study before go to make the investment activities. So to have the survive under the industry, there is a competition will be at a higher level in the national and also under the international level market. For that reason, your product should be needed to provide with the technological innovation and also technical competitive manner. So that will be dependent on how you are making conduct of your research and developmental activities. So for that reason, before go to make the investment activities, you need to analyze with the technological and research activities how it will be going on under your industry. Then the other factors will be there considered as like industry competitiveness. The industry how it is going to be having the competitiveness will be also needed to consider before going to make the conduct of investment activities. So that will be find out under these all the points: the bargaining power of suppliers, the threat of new entrants, then there is the threat of substitutes will be there, and the bargaining power of buyers. So these all the some of the factors of the industry competitiveness can be also needed to make it analyze when there is a industry analysis will be conducted. So the first one will be threat of new entrants, in the sense, so the new entries in the particular business industry will be going on. If there are many of the new entries will be there, there is a pressure on the price and the profits will be going on. Even if a firm has not entered on an industry, so the potential for it to do so places pressure on the prices, because the high prices and the profit margins will encourage the entry by the new competitors. If you are going to be having the many of the people or the many of the new entry or the new firms are going to be entering into your industry, means it will be making lacking of much more profitability to be shared with the other company. For example, if there is a telecommunication industry will be there, if there is a telecommunication industry, before we shall see that only the BSNL will be the more effective one. So now there is a many entrants, new entrant has been come across under the telecommunication, the business BSNL is going to be facing with the very much threat. So because of new entrants are going to be making the pressure on the prices and the profits which will be gained by the companies. So for that reason, whether your industry is going to be having the much more new entries or not, these things are also going to be needed to consider before make conduct of your investment activities. Then the second one will be that rivalry among the existing players. When you are going to be conducting your investment activities, you should see that whether your business entities are going to be having the several competitors in the industry, there will generally be more price competition and the lower profit margins, as a competitor will be seeking to expand their shares of the market. The slow industry growth contributes to this competition because expansion must come at the expense of the rivals' market share. If there is the industry in which you would like to make conduct of your investment activities, if there is many of the companies are going to be having the many of the rivalries in the sense, in the same industry you will be facing with the so many competitors. If the higher level of competition will be there for your business means, so you will be losing the more and more market, and you are losing the some of the profitability. You can be having the earning of profit margin will be at a lower level. So for that reason you should be come across how there is a rivalry will be there among the existing the players in the one particular industry, has to make it identify. And the other will be the pressure from the substitute products. The industry in which there is a investment activities would like to make, whether there is a such industry will be having the pressure from the substitute products or not. Substitute products means the product which can be make you provide of the same type of the features. For example, if there is a considering of some of the this products will be there, like the substitute product, like, so there is a related industries will be there. It means there is a industry faces competition from the firms in related with the some other industry. So the availability of the substitutes will be there at a very limited the prices, and that can be charged to the customers. So whether the industry will be having the pressure of substitute products or not, that should be also needed to consider. In the sense, if you are having much more substitute products means, then there is a lot of the competition we can be find out under such a industry. For example, substitute products are like there is a coffee and the tea product will be there. So if you are going to be having your investment activities under the any coffee business activity, so under the coffee industry, so meanwhile whether there is a much more pressure will be there under the tea industry, in the demand will be there or not. In the economy, if there is a much more the competition will be there by the tea product with the coffee means, so then you are going to be facing the so much pressure from the substitute products of tea. So for that reason you need to come across whether in which you would like to make conduct of your investment activity, it will be facing with the pressure of substitute products or not. So through that you can decide your the investment where it should be needed to make it at a very much higher level profitability. Then the other thing will be the bargaining power of buyers. The bargaining power of the buyer is the influence that the customers have an a producing industry. If a buyer faces the large fraction of an industry output, so it will have the considerable bargaining power and can demand the price concession. So the bargaining power of the buyer will be considered, whether there is a buyer of your industrial products will be having the much more influences in related with the pricing factor. So if they are having the much more buying bargaining means, you will be facing with a large amount of profitability will be at a very much so the poor level. So it means the large price decreases can be made it possible when there is a higher level of bargaining power of the buyer will be there. You need to give the much more concession in your prices when the consumers are going to be demanded. Through this your profitability for the industry will be at a going on at a lower level. So that should be needed to consider before go to make the investment activities. And the bargaining power of the supplier, from whom you are going to be receiving the inputs, so like as a raw material, whether they are going to be having the monopolistic control over your goods and services, or there is a very much different supplies will be there for you. If there is a monopoly supplier will be there means, may you can be having the much more bargaining power of the suppliers will be there. At what rate the supplier is going to be selling the inputs, to that level only, to that price level only you have to make it by. If there is a many more suppliers will be there mean, then the supplier can demand the higher prices for the goods supplied, and they are going to be squeezing the more and more profit out of the industry. When you are making your investment activities in the industry where there is a supplier bargaining power will be high, so then the industries are going to be having the lacking of the profitability. So for that reason you need to make analysis, you are going to be having the whether the bargaining power of the supplier will be high or low. For example, if there is a sugarcane industry will be there, the sugarcane has been produced in certain period will be the very much lower level farmers. So meanwhile less number of sugarcane supplier will be there. if there is a sugar industry is going to be needed to make it purchase of sugar cane. If only few people are going to be having their grown up of sugar cane, then there is a many of the industry will be there need to make it buy of sugar cane as a input. If there is a supplier of sugar cane has been determined the higher level of prices, because there is a demand will be high, lower the supply will be there. At that time industry has to make their buying of inputs at a higher level prices. So through that higher level price buying of input will be leads to the lower level of profitability for the industry. So that you need to identify whether the industry will be having the bargaining power of supplier will be high or it is at a low. These are the some characteristics which can be find out as an industrial competitiveness to make the industrial analysis. And even there is a industry, under the industry analysis there is a particularly the life cycle analysis has been considered. Already we have considered the some of the phases of business cycle. In the same way the life cycle analysis will be denoted under the some other things, like as a pioneering stage will be there. Nothing but it is early stage of industry are often characterized as in the way of the new technological or the new products are going to be having their introduction. The pioneering means it is the introduction stage of industry. In this beginning of the companies or the beginning of the industry starts with the zero and the operates at a very much lower level. If you would like to make conduct of your investment activities in the pioneering stage, you can go for making consideration of debenture securities, because even the company comes under loss, you will get the debenture interest. If you are making investment in the pioneering industry as under the equity shares, it will be not bringing the profitability, because the industry in the introduction level will not be having the guarantee of profitability. Then the expansion stage will be there. The stage will be represent as sales of the companies will be at a very higher level. The growing of companies activities will be at a rapid manner. It consisted with the actual profits usually begins to emerge with the during this stage. So expansion stage means there is a growth of the companies will be find out, as there is a expansion is going to be bringing the more profitability for the company. In these cases your investment in the securities can be bringing you higher level of profitability. And the next level will be maturity stage. The maturity stage will be considered as a maturity will be as the level of growth of companies will be at a larger corporations. So they may begin to pay consistent cash dividends, and they can repay any excessive debt they acquired during their period of rapid expansion. It is the stability stage where there is a companies are going to be at a higher level of growth. And the further, this is the stage where it can be identified the further increases or the growth will not be find out under the industry. It will be moving to the next level as a decline stage. The fourth level will be that, so decline stage. In this stage the industry might grow at a less than the rate of the overall economy, or even it might be even in a shrink manner. So there is a company or the industry is going on under the declining manner. This is the stage where we can be find out there is a the sale of the company industries are going to be at a very much lower level. So these are the some of the industries, the some life cycle stages. In this diagram also we can see in the introduction stage it is a pioneering, then the growth stage will be their expansion stage, and maturity and the decline. The curve will be showing that how there is a stages are going to be having its movements. Then the industry will be come across with the some of the SWOT analysis, which will be identified with the strengths, weaknesses, and the opportunities and threats. So the SWOT analysis is a strategic planning method used to evaluate the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and the threats of a particular industry. It involves specifying, identifying the internal and external things of the industry that are favorable and unfavorable to a particular industry. The SWOT means it is a considering of identifying the industry in which it is having the more strengths, in which it is having its more weaknesses, or where there is a opportunities will be available and where there is a risk will be there. Considering of these all things of analysis, they can be identifying the industry to make their some of the improvement activities. when you are going to be making conduct of your investment activities, you need to come across with these all the SWOT analysis that will be bringing you to be identifying that whether the industries can be having the much more the carrying out of their business activities in the future period will be in a competitive manner with the profitability manner or not. So with the SWOT analysis, you will be come across with that investor can be carried out with the choosing of the securities in which market you will be having the much more profitability. So the progress in the research and development in the particular industry will be making the opportunity and the entry of multinationals in the industry where there is a cheap imports can be possible, and with the factor some are going to be make it arrangement, and through that analysis you can be find out that where there is a the more and more effective business can be conducted with using of the so many opportunities facing with the threats in a very so effective manner. So that will be the making conduct of the SWOT analysis will be done, so which will be seen under the industry analysis.